I'm Anil Kumar, and in this video we'll review what real numbers are, and that will bring us to the different kind of number systems which we have learned. As you know, numbers could be classified as natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, and irrational numbers. Right, so these are different number systems which we have learned, and we'll kind of review all these number systems one by one. Now, first thing what we should do is we should try to see how to represent them on a number line. Now that is a very important exercise. Natural numbers. So we'll draw a number line here. Let's say this is a number line, and how to represent natural numbers on a number line. So what we can do is we can say that the number line has a 0 somewhere there, and then natural numbers will not include 0, but they are numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So these numbers are the natural numbers. So on the right side of 0, right? So these are the numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So natural numbers are the numbers which start from 1, and they're all positive, right? So they are all positive numbers. Whole numbers. As far as whole numbers are concerned, whole numbers include 0 also. So whole numbers is a set of numbers which include 0 also. So whole numbers will be, so I'll mark here 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. So they are non-negative numbers, correct? So we have 0 also in the set of whole numbers. So whole numbers include 0. So we say whole numbers are the numbers like 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. When we talk about integers, we take into consideration the numbers which are negative of the whole numbers, right? So numbers which are integers are kind of like this. So they extend on both sides of the number line, both sides of 0, right? And we could write them as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, the whole numbers, and negative of these, -1, -2, -3, and so on. So integers extend on both the sides. So numbers like -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, and so on are the integers. Now, what are rational numbers? The number between the whole numbers on a number line, some of them which can be represented in the form of a fraction, are actually called rational numbers. So one way of writing rational numbers is kind of a over b, where b is not equal to 0, since you cannot divide by 0. So those are the rational numbers, right? And what are irrational numbers? Irrational numbers are the numbers which cannot be written as a over b, as a rational number a over b, right, where b is not equal to 0. So the numbers which cannot be written as a over b are irrational numbers. Now, so we'll kind of extend more on this to understand why a number cannot be written as a over b. Now let us take some examples. So if I do 1 divided by 3, for example, I get what? Let's do. So if I divide 1 by 3, I get 1 over 3, and in decimals I get 1 3 reckoning, 0.3 reckoning. It means you read this as where 3 repeats, kind of like this. So these numbers which are repeating decimal numbers, so we say repeating decimal numbers, are rational numbers. Right? But if we have numbers which are not repeating decimal numbers, then we have a group which is called irrational number. Let me give you an example. Let us say square root of 2. So what is square root of 2 in decimals equals to? So what we find is that square root of 2 is equals to 1.41421356, and so on. So you do not have a repeating pattern here. So here we have a decimal number which is non-repeating. So non-repeating decimal number. So that kind of a number will be irrational number. Do you see it? So that is the difference between rational and irrational numbers. Okay. Now all these combined, natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, rational numbers, and irrational numbers, all these numbers together are called real numbers. I hope that is clear. So a set of real numbers could be positive numbers, include 0, could be negative, could be like a fraction, could be square root of these numbers. So square root of non-negative numbers are all real numbers, and all these numbers can be represented on a number line. So important thing here is that all real numbers can be represented on a number line. So that is how we can say a real number is. So real number is something which can be represented on a number line. It could be a natural number, whole number, integer, rational number, or irrational number. Now the question is, representing half is easy, right? Or a fraction like this is easy. You can divide into 3 equal parts and select 1. How do you represent square root 2? So the question for you is, how to represent square root 2 on this number line? So this is a question for you. You can pause the video and try to answer this question. And here is a hint for you. If you take 1 unit length here, let us say this is 1, and at right angles you make a triangle, kind of like this, so that you have 1 unit length of both the legs of this right angle triangle. This is 1, this is 1. In that case, 1 square plus 1 square is 2 square square root. So it is 1 square plus 1 square square root, which is square root of 2. So hypotenuse of this triangle, which is right triangle with side length of the legs as 1 unit, is square root 2. So that is a triangle whose hypotenuse is square root 2. Now we can represent square root 2 here. If this is my 0, then if I take this length, draw an arc kind of here, do you see that? So this length here will be square root 2. And that is how I could represent irrational number also on a number line. So that is the way. So I hope with this video you get a clear idea of what real numbers are, and within the real numbers we have natural numbers, whole numbers, rational numbers, and irrational numbers, right? Now as an exercise, if I write a number, for example, square root of 16. Now square root of 16 is what kind of number? We know square root of 16 is equal to 4, right? Square root of 16 is 4. Since this is a natural number, we could write square root of 16 as natural number, whole number, integer, rational number. That is true. So 16 square root can be written as all these numbers. Do you agree with me? right? So that is how we get square root of 16 is set of all these numbers, right? When we say, so it belongs to a set of natural numbers, whole numbers, integers, and rational numbers. We do have symbols for each. So it belongs to natural numbers n, whole numbers w, integers written with I or z, so we could write I or z for integers, rational numbers r, right? So this is a set of all these numbers. However, if I write a fraction which is kind of, let us say, 5 over 7. Now 5 over 7 is what? 5 over 7 is, let me divide 5 by 7 and see what we get. In decimals we get 0.714285, and that thing repeats. Since this is a repeating set of decimal numbers, this will be called a rational number. So this one is a rational number, okay? So it's a rational number, okay? And how about square root of, let me give you another example, square root of, let us say, 40. Now square root of 40 is, let us again use the calculator. What do we get? Square root of 40 is equals to 2 square root 10. Let me write it as decimal numbers. So we do not get a repeating pattern here. We get 6.324555532, kind of like that, where there is no repeating pattern. Since there is no repeating pattern, we'll call this as irrational number, right? So this is irrational number. However, this is a real number also, irrational real number, okay? So we'll write for the time being irrational number. But remember, all these are real numbers and they all can be represented on a number line. I hope this video summarizes the set of numbers for you. Thank you and all the best.